Okay, I have 80 slides to go through, so hopefully I don't take very long. All right, I'm going to talk about continuous updates. Update early, update often. What is this all about, right? So I haven't been doing talks that often, but actually I'm going to give this similar talk next week at RubyConf Philippines. So I can't talk at my own conference. I have to go outside and talk at other people's conference. So how many of you have experience with, before Rails 3? Awesome. So you probably remember, at that time we were struggling with plugins instead of Ruby gems. But of course, when Rails 3 came out, it was the merge between Rails and MERB. Okay, wait, I don't know where I should stand because I'm in the light. Okay. Okay, so it was the merger between Rails and MERB, right? For Rails 3. And so that was also known to be the slowest Rails ever, right? Because all of the performance benchmarks went down the hill. Beside the point, Bundler also came along. So what Bundler really helped us with is with the installation of gems inside your Ruby on Rails project. So instead of relying on plugins, which actually nobody bothered about versioning and stuff, Bundler came in to help solve all these problems, especially in conflict resolutions, making sure that it's easy for you to install libraries that people have wrote, especially with using just a gem file. So you just need to specify all your dependencies in your gem file, do bundle install, and boom, it pulls everything down from the internet. Magic, right? Yeah, so we all know this command. So of course with this, then Bundler also bring along a lot of new knowledge, like, hey, we should actually version our gems. It's pretty important so that people can actually pull in the correct gem and not mess up your code, right? So people started to know about this thing called the major minor patch, or rather SAMVer. So Ruby developers started to mature and started to know a lot more about these things. Oh, now I can write gems. Now I know how to version my gems. Why don't we dependency all the things, right? So they started to create more and more gems. So rubygems.org came along. Everyone loves gems, so we put everything in these small little libraries, including... Oh, okay, sorry. Wrong community, right? Sorry, but anyway, what Bundler gave us as well, besides bundle install, is also this command called bundle update. You know about bundle update, right? How many of you have done bundle update in the last 3 months? Oh wow! In the last half a year, in the last 1 year, have never ever done bundle update before. Awesome. Some of you didn't raise up your hand. So maybe you were doing npm install, I'm not sure. Okay. Or something else, gem install, right? Okay. So I don't do it once every 3 months. In fact, when I do it once every day. All right? So that's to the extent I go to. Okay, sometimes maybe not exactly once every day, but at least once a week. So that's the extent I go to when I start to do bundle update. Why do I do that? And of course, I call this continuous update, right? So, and what is this all about? Why do I do that? So, yeah, actually, I should say this is like by me. So what is continuous update? Continuous update to me is like a practice of updating all dependencies to newer versions several times a week. Basically, it's keeping your application fresh, making sure that you're pulling in the latest dependencies all the time, not letting your application rot and decay. All right, so why do we do this? What is the benefits of doing this extreme, right, updating of your app when everything is nice and dainty and your app is not breaking, right? Don't fix it if it's not broken. It's like, why is this guy so extra, right?
It's always good.
Right? So to me, yeah. So to me, it's like, even if you don't do updates, some of you might do it once every 6 months or once every 3 months. The fact is that it could easily be a big bang update already. And usually what comes with these big bang updates are nightmares, because you thought that something would take you only 5 minutes to do bundle update and then boom, everything works, right? But no. everything starts to fail. And then when you start to dig into it, maybe it's this gem, maybe it's the dependency of this gem, maybe it's this other gem, you know, and then it goes all the way, and you can't really isolate your problem. So what should have taken you 5 minutes, in the end took you like 5 days, or even 2 weeks or a month. So that is the situation that I see all the time. So my background, I come from, you know, I've been doing a few years of consulting, and so that's why I see every day, like when people don't update their code, finally when they start to update their code, and then they are stuck. They can't move forward anymore. They need to fix these updates before they can move forward. And so that's why consultants have a job, right? We go in. So of course, other than that, I feel that this is like incremental improvements to your app as well. Come on, these people working on these open source libraries are helping you improve your app every single day, right? They are fixing bugs, they are putting in new features, they are improving performance, fixing memory problems. Why aren't you using their work, right? If you think that it's not useful at all, then why do you pull in the gem in the first place? Why don't you just write everything yourself, right? So if these people are already doing the work, why don't you, value their work, appreciate their work, and pull it in and use it? And then of course, it helps to fix security vulnerabilities. A lot of gems out there have security risks in them, and sometimes they are being patched. If you stop updating your app, that means your app is definitely vulnerable to such security loopholes. So by constantly updating your app, you also patch some of these loopholes as well. And of course, it guarantees you easier future upgrades because you do away with the Big Bang nightmare approach. Oh, sorry. And I believe, this is a point that you all should know about. Like, developers dislike legacy code, right? Who loves to maintain legacy code? Nobody likes to maintain legacy code, right? We all like to, go to a piece of code that is, fresh, new, updated, well-maintained, so that we can do our job well. Nobody wants to be hired into a company and then be like, oh, sorry, this is a 5 years old code, and then there's no test, and then it's all in Rails 1, like, I don't know what to do with it. Like, nobody wants to be in that situation, right? So it also helps your company move forward. I think that's the most important point, because if you talk to people, you're like, oh, I'm on Rails 3, like, will people want to join you versus, oh, we're on Rails 5, Okay, maybe not Rails 3 is still okay, oh, we are on Rails 2, versus, oh, we are using Rails 5, right? So there'll be that kind of discount being given to the type of job scope that the developer is going to be doing if he enters a company. But of course, this is not for everyone, right? Continuous updates. I'm not saying, oh, wow, it works for everyone. You all should start doing it today. So the questions that I'll ask is, do you have specs? Are you already writing tests within your app itself? Do you have continuous integration in your workflow? Because if not, then please don't do it. You will just hurt yourself even more because you won't even know where to start, right? And when you update, then it's even worse. There's nothing to help you catch whether you break something or not. But yeah, so the point is, this is not for everyone. I only recommend it if you have already been writing specs, your code is well tested, you have continuous integration workflow going on, then maybe you can try this practice out. If you don't have specs, I think the first thing you need to do is start writing specs first. Okay? So how can we do continuous updates? So there are a few ways to start doing this. The first is, of course, to get acquainted with notification tools. So what are the notifications tools out there to help you know that your app is outdated? Anyone? What is it? Gemnasium, yes. Gemnasium. Another one? Okay, there's a newer one. Called libraries.io. So these tools can give you notifications when, for example, your app has a library that has a newer version. So it will send you email, it will spam your mailbox and tell you that, hey, you better upgrade or else you're gonna die, like. All right. So that's the so that's the notification tool. So it will tell you that your app is outdated. Then of course, if you get all these notifications, what are you going to do with it? Right? The next step is you can do manual update, right? So you can git checkout master, git pull, git checkout, bundle update, git add gemfile.log, and git commit updates. Whoa, so simple, right? Except that it's probably going to take you like 5 to 10 minutes, depending on whether you do any typos in between, right? Git commit with 1M, I don't know, git checkout something, so you have all these typos and then you start to mess up your life and you spend 10 minutes doing this, and if let's say you cost like $30 an hour, you probably like waste $5 every time, you start to do this action, all right? A cup of Starbucks maybe, all right? So maybe not manual updates, right? If you really want to do this every single week, maybe we want to do something more. So let's move on to semi-automatic updates. Maybe this can help us a little bit better. So let's try and put what we have earlier into a script, right? So you put it into a script. Okay, wow, today is time.current, and then you create a new branch. You do all these like in the shell, and then this is coming from the GitHub's hub command line tool or something like that. So you can make a pull request to your GitHub repository and yay, you're done. So what can you do with this script? So it needs to live with your repository. So you can either get a human to do this every day or once a week, right? Press enter, type the script name, press enter, wait for it to happen. Or you can put it into a cron job, right, on your local machine or on a server or somewhere. Or if you have Jenkins as a continuous integration tool, you can actually schedule it as a separate build in here as well and then make it do its work. So that's possible from a semi-automatic perspective. But there's still some problems with these solutions that I brought up. Why? The first one, notification tools, right? So it's just like, an endless stream of notification, but it doesn't do much for you. It just nags you, right? Hey, Rails is outdated, and then Rails has like what are dependencies? Active support, active record, action, cable, blah, 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 blah. So when Rails has an upgrade, it will send you like 10 emails that tell you each of these libraries are outdated. You have to update all of them. So it's just endless. It doesn't do much. And then if let's say you're very busy, you'll just be ignoring the email. Soon you'll be creating a filter and sort of like put all those emails into archive mode, read by default or something like that. And so you will just ignore them. Nobody looks at it, right? So what about manual update? Manual update, right, is pretty motivation driven. So maybe I can tell you, hey, why don't you, let's say the team lead, hey, why don't you do this like every once a week? So you're like, oh, wow, okay, I'm going to start this continuous update practice. So I'm going to do this once every week. So you start to do it, maybe for the first month, you're pretty enthusiastic, right? Then from the second month onwards, then, your enthusiasm sort of wane, and then you stop doing it. Maybe you do it once every 2 weeks. Then soon you'll forget about doing it, right? This is very motivation driven. It's not sustainable. And of course, it's not scalable. If let's say, you're the one running the script or it's on Jenkins somewhere, right? What if you have more repositories now? Then you need to like create it again. You need to do the whole workflow again. So again, a little bit manual and too troublesome, right? The semi-automatic one, so like I said, right, human, right, dependent on his or her time. The cron job is on someone's machine, so it's always on that someone's machine or on a server somewhere. Then you need to set up a server, so a lot more effort taken. And like, not everyone uses Jenkins. Like, who uses Jenkins? Okay, who don't use Jenkins? Right, so you see a lot more people don't use Jenkins, right? We all use CodeShip, Circle CI, So all of these other tools, unfortunately, don't allow you to like schedule a separate build to do things like this. So we can't make use of whatever Jenkins give us. And Jenkins is in Java, so okay, beside the point, right? Yeah. Okay, joke. Okay, so of course.
I've been up since 3 this morning.
Sure. So of course, what I want to propose then, can we move to a fully automatic solution? Right? Let's try and convert the script to an app. or rather that's my perspective, right? So I'm dead tired of doing it from manual perspective, from the semi-automatic perspective. So I'm like, why don't I just convert this, to an app, a service that I can use myself? Like, I don't care about others. I just want to use it myself because I'm on a lot of projects at any one point in time, and I want to make sure all of my clients, have this practice ongoing for their projects. So me, it's very important. When I hand over my code, they are all in pristine, updated condition, and they are not like, Rails 4.2.1, and then when they hand over it to some other consultant, they're like, wow, what is this consultant? They didn't even bother to help you update to, the latest Rails or something. I want to avoid these kind of problems from coming up. So I decided to convert it to an app, and I did. So my team and I, we did this. It's called Datbot. So there are a lot of stickers outside just now, but I noticed that nobody wanted to take any of the stickers. Like, you all took the Ruby stickers, you all took TradeGecko stickers, Nobody touched the Datbot stickers. It's okay, it's okay. So anyway, we are integrated with GitHub as well. We are on github.com/integration. So it's legit, right? So I'm not GitHub approved, right? But anyway, apparently the word "depp" it means I'm an idiot in German. So I don't know why I started to buy some Twitter ads, and then some people like ping me, "Oh, this is a great service, but so unfortunate for the name." Like, so I didn't know Johnny Depp. Yeah, is an idiot in German as well. I thought following his name is a safe bet, right? So that's kind of unfortunate, but oh well. So anyway, what we wanted to do was to convert this into a service, right? So seems easy, right? I mean, this script is only like how many lines long? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 lines long. So convert this into an app and then sell it for a bunch of money. It's like, wow, makes sense, right? Unfortunately, it's not so easily, right? Okay. So there are a lot of hidden roadblocks when you start to convert this into a service that works for anyone and everyone. So some of the challenges we face is that bundle update is not so simple. The fact is that if you look at Travis or you look at any of this CodeShip or whatever, they charge you, quite a lot of money because it's not easy to maintain the VPS. Download your app and then install all of these gems. Everyone has, a varied usage of gems. Some people use C extensions, some people don't use, and then some of the gems require certain crazy things to be installed onto the VPS itself. So it's too troublesome to actually do that if we want to support, all kinds of gem files in our app. So luckily for us, there's actually this command called bundle lock --update. So what it does is it will read your gem file, it will help you update your gemfile.log without downloading any of the gems at all. So this sort of saves our lives, right? I mean, because then whenever we try and do bundle updates for applications, we don't actually need to download the gems, which would, number one, take out a lot of space, take out a lot of time, right? And number two, would be difficult to actually install because of the dependencies that they might require at a lower level. In fact, even Travis, all of these services have a lot of problems with that. And of course, then what we have seen is that, wow, everyone has very different gem files. Like, I thought my gem file, it should work, everyone should work. No, everyone has very, very different gem files. Some people have, gem files with Bitbucket in there as well because they don't want to host their private repos on GitHub because it costs money, so they decided to host their private repos on Bitbucket, so on and so forth. And then some people have private gems on GemFury, and some people have very strange constraints going on in their gem file. So it's actually not a simple solution. So we thought that, wow, we are done in like 2 weeks. Actually, we spent a lot of time just trying to make sure it works for all, not all, but a lot of edge cases. Even just this morning, we were trying to fix edge cases that came along. And then, so of course, there are hackers, right, who go and subscribe repos that are not Ruby repos without a gem file and crazy shit like this. So we have to handle all of these things in our code as well. Okay, so one thing is that, remember the script that I showed earlier? It just did a pull request with a single message like bundle update. But is that really useful? So after we were doing it, we found that it's not really useful from from our perspective, right? I mean, to you, I'm sure you're thinking, yeah, it's just 10 lines. Okay, so what if you convert to the script? It's just issues a pull request. To you, it's not so much useful as running it semi-automatically on your machine. Like I can buy a $800 iMac, or not iMac, what do you call that? Mac Mini, and then run my script off there, right? It works, right? But we decided that we don't want to live with empty pull requests. We want to make sure that our lives are much more easier. So make use of the bot rather than just making it do empty pull requests. So what we did was we actually generated beautiful pull requests like this. So firstly, our pull request description will have the name of the gem. So if you click through, it goes to rubygems.org. It will have GitHub compare links. So you can actually compare the two versions together. And so you easily see the diffs between version 4 and version 3. And you could then immediately, one eye glance, see what are the changes between the two, if anything is going to affect your app or anything like that. And if the gem actually maintains a changelog, we will also show you that changelog. So this is another hard problem, right? Everyone maintains changelog in different names. Some people call it changelog. Some people call it history. Some people call it something else, right? So it's about finding all of these out. So we generate this pull request and then we submit to applications like Ruby Bench Web, right? By Guo Xiang, right? So so these are the few points, and then we tell you how much time you save, how many pull requests have you made. So that is a normal bundle update, that you can do very easily, bundle log update. But the next challenge then we went on, it was to actually do security updates. So by security updates, what we are doing is actually we are sort of like reading off advisories from rubysec.com, finding out whether you have any vulnerabilities in your application, in your gems, and actually providing the updates to it. So I should have snapped the changes as well. So in these bundle updates, right, there's only one file change. It's very simple. The file change is gemfile.log, right? It just upgrades the version because bundle log update. In this one, we actually change two files because we actually write the correct version that is no longer susceptible to security vulnerabilities into your gem file as well. So we will update the version to make sure that you are not on any old versions that could cause you to have security loopholes. And then of course then we list everything out. Everything is still the same, right? So this is our fully automatic solution. So what is the bonus benefits for doing continuous updates, right? So of course that's my service, all right? But really, what is the benefits of doing continuous updates? Why am I sort of promoting this as a practice? I feel that it's a very much a time saver in a lot of ways, right? Upgrades become easier. It's all incremental improvements from this point onwards. You don't have a one big bang. Now I'm going to move from Rails 4 to Rails 5, and then in order to do that, I need to fix like 1001 gems. Okay, you still have to fix 1001 gems, right? But it's going to be simpler rather than one big bang approach. At the same time, if you run this, constantly, you will just see that it helps you level up your knowledge of Ruby gems, especially the changes, because you're just going to be so much more in touch with finding out what are the changes that have been made to the Ruby gems. And if you do so, you might even be able to issue, pull requests to the gems and help to improve the ecosystem in general. And of course, I feel that it helps you shape latest software. Nobody wants to ship outdated software. So to me, that's very important. And finally, my point is, to improve the ecosystem, we actually found bugs with Bundler, we found bugs with Ember Rails, we found bugs with some other gems as well. And then we issue pull requests to help fix all of these things, make the world better. We try and encourage people to use Semver, not to use datetime in their versioning. Some people do that, and in general we try and make sure people update their rubygems.org metadata information, because some gems are out there, they don't have a source repo, they don't have homepage, and it doesn't help for anyone who wants to use their gem because they can't find where is it, right? So conclusion, update early, update often, do continuous updates, and if you have not done this from the very beginning, like I said, you have specs, right? When you want to jump onto this and you haven't done bundle update for a while, you're going to get, a huge backlog of updates to do. I would strongly encourage you to persevere, don't give up, do it once, bring your app up to date, and then from that point onwards, start to do this, right? Don't ever get yourself back into the state where you have that big bang update again. So, yeah. And of course, if you haven't write specs, please start writing specs. So my point is don't give up, all right? So thank you. Any questions?
You don't use RuboCop for your own development, do you?
Rubocop?
Yes.
I don't.
Because if you had, you wouldn't be doing this.
Why not?
Because for the last year,
Mm.
in the last year, they have pushed out maybe 40 updates.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which have, in many cases, taken interpretation 1 of a rule, changed it to conflicting interpretation 2, changed it to conflicting interpretation 3, changed it to conflicting implementation 1 again, then come up with number 4, then number 2, then number 5, then number 1, then number 3, then number 2, and eventually getting back to where they were. Okay, this has happened on at least 6 or 7 language features that we use throughout our code base. So every time for better than 6 months, every week we could count on, because we were doing continuous updates for a long time. And it got to the point where every week we knew Rubocop was going to fail our CI. Okay, and that we would have several dozen or several hundred notifications from Rubocop against our code base that it had blessed just yesterday. Okay, with very minimal changes that. Oh, the changes weren't called out by Rubocop, but everything else in the code base was. Okay, so we locked Rubocop at 0.35.1. It is now, I believe they just shipped 0.39 yesterday, and we have it on our to-do list. We will probably get around to it given current priorities around June.
To upgrade the Rubocop gem?
To update Rubocop to whatever the current version is when we get there and make our changes, because we assume that it will take us 3 to 5 man days to go from clean on 0.35.1 to clean on whatever the hell it is when we get around to it. That by itself killed our continuous update process. We use continuous build, continuous deployment, continuous delivery. But we have every gem in our gem file is locked to a specific single version. And that does not change until we merge a PR back into master. Part of the merge a PR back into master workflow calls for seeing what has been updated, attempting to and iteratively, automatically running update this gem and any dependencies, see what breaks. Update this gem, see what breaks, roll back. Update this gem, see what breaks, roll back. And then we have a human look at the report from all these contingencies and make a decision. Okay, we can afford to update this gem and this gem and this gem. And these other gems, oh yeah, Rails shipped 2 new security updates this week, so we got to update that. Okay, but the fact is, that if you use gems in your workflow, and you should be, then then the ecosystem that your application executes in is undergoing continuous change. You will not ship to revenue customers until and unless you can successfully manage that change. And that does not lend itself to straightforward or easily discoverable automation that we have put several man-months into researching.
So it could be a different industry. I don't know. For me, that bot is built on that bot. So
if you're using fairly vanilla stuff and you're not dealing with certain well-known problem gems, like Rubocop has gained a reputation.
So I don't use Rubocop, but I have customers. I don't look at their gems, but I have quite a number of customers from Japan. From actually UK government is using.
Yeah, the UK gov uses them.
Yeah, so
they're hurting a lot right now because of the changes.
Right. So I think every team probably needs a structured process to handle these things.
You have to do process first, and then tools to support the process, and not the other way around.
Agreed.
Any more questions from anyone? Okay, so if any more questions, you can look for Winston directly after that. Next.